right, hold on a minute here. So much shit on the way here. I don't think it's supposed to be live yet, but we'll hang out for a little bit and let it load up, right? I'll be back in, I don't know. I'll be back in a second. Let's gotta get something going. This is supposed to launch at 9:40 something. Hold on a minute. All right. Second coffee time, I think. Yeah, what was I gonna do? I bought that I got a TV right behind this camera that I bought a while ago. Man, they're cheap. What is it? Smart TV or something? Now, if I do this right, I should be able to watch this on that. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. All right. I should be able to see some comments easier if I can log on to my channel on this TV, right? Hold on. Now, this wasn't supposed to go live until preset the time. And then at the bottom it says go live, share, whatever. I don't know, go live, I guess. Hit the button. Boom, it's instant live. Oops, mistake. Whatever. Now, hold on a minute, you guys. Because if I got this big screen behind the camera and not my laptop, which is tiny, then I have to put on these annoying freaking readers which drive me bonkers. And I can just read some questions if I can get some time to it. Now, give me 1 second. All right, hold on. Your videos. Oh, there it is, I think. There's an ad. Gotta be kidding me. Hold on a minute. Come on. Get off my screen. Oh my goodness. Hold on a minute, you guys. That was delayed. Weird. Oh, I know. The TV screen is showing me covering the whole screen. Now, where's the chat part or whatever? You just love it when I do this shit live. So organized, right? So professional. So organized. Weird. I don't even have the option to make it a smaller screen. I guess, you see, this is what I was supposed to be doing when I preset the time for it to go live. I was going to do all this horse shit, so you'd have to sit here getting frustrated watching me do this crap. I just can't win with this tech shit sometimes. Can't win. There's no full screen option. All right, screw it. It's a fail. No time for that shit. I'll turn the sucker right off. Deal with that later. Whew. All right, I'm back. Hold on a minute. Here. All right, everything's working, right? Where's my annoying readers? You suckers. I don't do it. back in the crazy world. So before I start trying to read some of this, yesterday was such a massive fail for me yesterday, my first day back. And I had a fail on 100% of my tasks I had at hand yesterday was an epic fail. It was so frustrating. And I have a stand-up refrigerator, an older one a buddy of mine gave me. And I took all the shelving out of it. And I used the freezer part, the top, for my bait freezer, right? And sometimes when I'm in here recording, that fridge will kick in. You hear that, drives you bonkers. And I have 3 deep freezes right there too for all the fish and game. So, anyways, I go back there and I'll unplug the stand-up freezer. You know where this is going. And this is before I left. And I unplugged it to record background sound free. Guess who didn't plug it back in before he went on the hunting trip? So in this heat, and I don't have a cooler, a proper cooler. They're expensive to build, I think, to hang up your meat to give it a chill and keep it perfect. I have to make do with what I got. So I had to top it off. I'm going to take you guys through this. So when you get your game meat, it has to cool off as fast as you can. It has to stay cool, has to stay dry crust on the outside. So any butcher will tell you moisture is your number one enemy when it comes to your meat. So picture this, talking about every single thing I attempted and failed. So I picked that carcass absolutely clean, like a raven. I mean, I picked it clean. I left the liver and the internal organs. I kept the heart, but I left the liver and all the other stuff for the cycle, the natural cycle, as usual. Said a loud thank you, left, and it was warm out there. So I had to go. I made it absolutely clean, as clean could be. Took my time and I got the game bags around it, keep it absolutely clean. And then I got it out of the woods, got it in my truck with the quad, and then I went to the top of this high peak as far as I could drive, where the wind's insane. And then I got a big pole, but a 12-foot pole by that much around it, wedged it in my quad trailer, so it's up at an angle, and I hung all the bags of meat off of there, and I sat there for 5 hours, chilling it down, getting it dry before I was confident to start my trek home. You need to get it as cool as you can before you do anything. You can't just go stack it up or lay it on the ground, right? I'm treating this meat with the utmost respect. It's absolutely vital important what I acquired. So then I get into the next town and I bought garbage bags. I bought an additional cooler, and then you have to keep it dry. I put these freaking garbage bags around the quarters gently, like a baby in a towel. Gently place them in the smooth coolers with nothing else in there. Put 3 bags of ice in each cooler. Right on. My shit's dry. It's chilled, stressless. I get all the way home. And then I'm going to take them out of the coolers and I'm going to put them in a stand-up fridge, right? Because it's even warmer here. Well, I go to open up the stand-up fridge door. It's glued shut. And I'm like, I didn't pull hard because obviously, something's up. It's like, oh no. No, I didn't. I did not do that. I look behind the fridge. It's unplugged with my bait, which is in the upper freezer part, was unplugged for the last 3 weeks. Oh my God. That really sucked. So then, now what am I going to do? Well, because I have so many other things to do, now I'm going to go remove my quarters from the plastic bags, which I'm anticipating being very chilled and dry. If the plastic frickin' garbage bags weren't, I haven't a clue why they aren't watertight. Black plastic bags with those red draw straps that are built into them. Those frickin' bags. And I looked on the counter, I looked on the shelf in that grocery store, whatever it was, every single package of garbage bag I could see, and I picked the one that was most convincing. Durable, tough, big. All right, this is it. My meat was soaking wet. So now I've got my fridge. I can't use it. The meat's soaking wet. I'm absolutely on fire. Get a towel, dried off, loaded it all into the deep freeze hole, but I don't want it frozen, and I have to govern it and leave it in there for a little bit at a time and take it out because I've got nothing else better to do, right? Then I wanted to make a video about what my backpack actually looked like with that knife. This one right here. Actually, you see the corrosion. Is that corrosion on it? I can show you guys the corrosion on it from sitting on the ground, right? And that little dot there was where there was dirt stuck to it, and that dot there's dirt stuck to it there, and dirt stuck there. Weird, right? Anyway, so I'm gonna make that video. And I got to load on the computer. The editing program completely pooches. Done deal. And then I went to get my old computer, the custom built tower I had built years ago for doing hunting videos and editing. It cost me $2,500. And there's a plug-in that goes into the back of that computer. It's a plastic plug with the two little plastic screws that are attached, right? You know what I'm talking about? And I got to pack that from in the house all the way to the shop in here, get it all set up. Well, that wire with the screws on it is gone, completely gone, left the building. Like, holy shit, you got to be kidding me. There's nothing, I can't do anything. Every single task, I'm giving you guys the roughie. Every single task, every single thing I needed and wanted to do yesterday was a fail across the board. I was so frustrated. It was amazing. And it was the very first day from being back from the real world where there's no BS. There's nothing. Just being alive, being positive, being energetic, being healthy, no crap in your eyes. And the first day I'm back, it was an epic fail. So I was like, okay, stupid, you shouldn't have came back. You should have stayed in the woods. And then I even had to jump on the truck, drive all the way to the nearest town, go to a place called Staples, go in there and ask for that wire. And he goes, showed him the picture of the back of the tower. And he goes, oh, it's an older one. I'm like, oh yeah, right. I forgot. Computer tech world. 3 years in computer tech world is like a lifetime. Of course, they don't have the wire. And I drove all the way there. But they did have an adapter for it where it screws into the tower and then has an HDMI plug-in for $75. I'm like, okay, I'll buy it. I bought that, brought it home, plugged it in. Didn't work. Of course it didn't work. Should have known it wasn't going to work. So it was an epic fail. And I'm like, okay, I got the SD card reader. And yesterday I mentioned the SD card reader, which I was looking for. I should have let you know I found it. But this is my SD card reader. See how tiny that is? That goes with me everywhere when I'm hunting because I can just grab the SD cards out of my trail camera, stuff it in here, put it in my phone, and see what's on it. And to make things clear about how I could have missed this in my backpack, I looked for this because you're tired. Sometimes I have it in my quad, sometimes in my pocket, sometimes a zipper thing in my backpack. And I tore my backpack apart more than a few times the previous week, trying to see where I misplaced this thing. I eventually found it every time. But that's just to give you an idea of the tiny item I was looking for in my backpack a few times before seeing this in my face laying on top of the trail cameras. Just to give you an idea. I'm looking for this. I'm looking at every little tiny fold, empty my backpack to try to find this little item. You see what I mean? There's no way you're going to miss this when you're looking for this a few times in the previous week. Anyways, different topic. So I took the SD card reader, slammed in my phone with that SD card from my Canon camera for yesterday's video. It loaded. No way. So unfortunately, I couldn't load the frickin' photos. They were sent in from 2 different emails onto that video, right? Okay, enough of that rant. That's just a quick flavor of yesterday. Every single thing that I considered important yesterday was an epic fail. I can't believe I didn't just jump in the truck and head in the woods. So who do we got? What do we got? What's going on in the world? See, the live version's much easier, right? I can just wake up in the morning like I have, grab a coffee, hang out, and bullshit and share some emails and voices from people around the planet telling us the damn truth, which is so needed, right? Especially today. But anyway, got a lot of emails. Now, what else? Before I forget a lot. Who was it? There's a handful of days ago in the woods, and I'm trying to make a note in my head because I don't write down notes, of course, right? I'm a man. I don't use instructions. I don't put down notes. And we had a guy email in from Princeton, British Columbia, logger. And I don't know if he's here or not, but we got to find your email address and email him. And I want to get him on here. Do the Zoom thing, I guess. I don't know if I can do live in the Zoom. When I did it with Nino, he recorded it and then gave me the link after it fully rendered or whatever, and then I had to post it up. So I don't think he can do it live. And I'm not certain how to do a live with somebody else splitting the screen on YouTube. Haven't a clue. Obviously, I can figure it out, but I don't know. So right now, all I know is to go onto Zoom, invite somebody, get it on there, hit record, bullshit with them. But it would be kind of um, easier. I think the live thing's easier, right? So the guy from Princeton, the logger, what did he see again? He saw, if I remember correctly, he saw something rip across the road, small. And by the sounds of it, what I think what happened was this little thing ripped across the road, went up the steep bank, didn't make it up the bank, and slipped and fell and tumbled back down in the ditch. Then it got up on the side of the road and stood up on its feet like a little person or infant, whatever you want to call it, and kind of looking around confused in the darkness as there was two logging trucks way up ahead of him. He stood on the floor of his truck with the door open, standing up over the door, looking at it. And then this massive thing jumps all the way down from the bank. Boom, hits the ground, grab the little one, and boom, jumps off the road and down over the bank in the darkness. Right? And then he also said that in his X amount of years logging, he has had numerous experiences in some British Columbia. And I hope if he would, he's going to come on here live and we're going to listen to him firsthand tell us what's up. What do you know? What do you seen? How many people do you know? Right? And I think that I don't know why loggers, military, First Nations communities, they really pique my curiosity. Really piques when I hear when you realize who's contacting us to share. It's like, huh? You do what? Okay, let me hear it. What do you got? I'm not saying they're more credible than anybody else. Everybody's the same and equal. I'm just saying I think possibly that gets my attention right away a little more is just because I'm surrounded by First Nations communities, always have been. I have lots of friends in the First Nation communities, and a lot of my original information has come from those communities. And loggers are in the woods more than I am in a way. They see a lot. Railroad workers. Man, what I would do to sit in the front of one of those trains crossing Alberta and British Columbia. Could you imagine? And you guys saw, if you did watch, it was a day before yesterday, I shared that video of driving down province of British Columbia in that canyon, the Fraser River alone. If you, I don't know if you noticed, it's kind of hard holding the GoPro, but if you look down into that Fraser River and that Fraser River starts in Jasper. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it starts in Jasper, the headwaters, Jasper, Alberta, in the Rocky Mountains. And that river cuts through all those mountains all the way to Vancouver City, city of Vancouver, British Columbia. And it goes through, it's the most inhospitable, nasty ass, steep, shit eating mountains that you will not ever see hike up, climb up in the Fraser Canyon, especially. You can see it down there where that railway travels through. And that means that those railway, those tracks, the route the train takes is possibly for how many generations now the number one travel route for almost everything in a lot of those places in those mountains, right? Then you get that bright light and you get up straightaways, you come around a bend or whatever you have on those train tracks, and those guys are seeing shit. And I'm quite confident that a lot of the railway employees are possibly here and they're not saying shit, right? I'll bet you. Anyway, backing up, that's why I really get my interest peaks when I hear of a logger getting hold of me, especially in my backyard. First Nations communities, because it's always my backyard, or I'm familiar with where it is, or I've been around the mountains around where it is, and the railway and the military. That really gets me wanting more because those groups seem to have more chances of um, knowing a lot more than your average Joe. Somebody going on a bus tour on Alaska Highway and seeing something ripping across the road. Meanwhile, they're from New Jersey or something, right? Which we want to hear from everybody. I'm just giving you an example of why those groups really get my attention. It's like, oh, here we go. What do we got? What do we got? Right? Now, what else? What else? Should I be reading some of this stuff from you guys? So much though, right? I took a train from Vancouver to Montreal in 71, but I didn't know about Bigfoot back then. Hmm. I don't know if that would have made a difference knowing or not. I think because if you're just on the railway, the chances of seeing something greatly increase, right? Truck drivers see a piss load of everything. Truck drivers, they see a lot too, right? And but picture being a truck driver, you don't have time to go and creep around on YouTube. The majority of truck drivers probably don't even know about this channel, let alone other channels, right? And imagine how many of them see something odd. Although a lot have it emailed in, there's probably tenfold more that have seen and don't even know where to talk about it safely, right? Yeah. Oregon. Oregon's a beautiful place. I always thought I'd move to Oregon if I moved to the States, Texas, Alabama. This is a toss up. But then when you see what's going on in Portland, and I had a boatload of people from Oregon, and apparently Portland's really falling apart, right? Unfortunately. All right. So now, what else? What else? What else? Um, so much. I'm always scattered. I never write anything down, ever. I never practice anything or pre-read anything. You just cut loose and let it rip. So I have to. What I've decided I'm going to do. The elk that I harvested, it was a lone mature cow elk with no calf, no other elk around it, and 16 days is a bit much. Drought conditions and cows were open or 3 point bulls or better, and the hunting was probably some of the toughest I've ever come across. I probably should have shot that elk the very first day when I let the newbie have a crack at it, but whatever. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. So I harvested the elk. And I was just discussing that with Sarah this morning. The lack of meat, this great meat. We had some last night, but the size difference in the meat harvested, like the neck on a cow elk is going to be about like this, like that. There might be two rows there. Meanwhile, the neck on a bull elk right now, you're looking at about 65 pounds of additional meat, which that pile of meat, we normally turn that into our hamburger and our sausages. So we're minus that right off the bat. So there is a season is open for moose in this one particular area, and it's only open for 2 days. October 25th to 26th. It'd be like the ultimate moose challenge, right? Especially to travel 2 days. But I know where they are and I think I can get it done. And she's urging me to go. So what I'm saying is I might go back up there for that date, quickly whip up and see if I can pull off the ultimate moose challenge and harvest a moose and get it home. So why I'm mentioning that is because helicopter. Seriously, you got to be able to hear that. Really? It's like I'm cursed. That's right over the house. Whoa. You guys hear that? Can't hear it? You couldn't hear that? All right. Well, that was louder than shit right here in my ears. It's gone now. It's disappearing. So what I'm saying is uh, a date we didn't officially agree on for me to go to Texas and meet up with people who are allegedly in contact with these beings often. Also, a person who I trust who has literally stood beside them numerous times. And I believe this person to be credible and knows possibly way more than anybody we've ever come across to date. And I have the invite to go spend time. And I have been promised that every single thing is going to be shared with me. All right. Now, they wanted me to come in September. Obviously, that's not going to happen. So I said, no, I can't do that. And then the idea was for me to go in October. Like, okay, I could possibly do that. It's just September, October, November for me is typically no go for anybody, anything. So I have to make a decision soon if I'm going to do my 2-day moose challenge, October 25th, 26th, which means I'd probably leave on the 22nd, 26th, 27th, 28th, and probably be home on the 29th of October if I do that. So that eliminates that time frame to go to Texas to learn all I can. So, do I squeeze in a handful of days before the 22nd of October? Maybe I should do that. I should look into those flights, get a hold of my contacts, and I think all of you, everybody here, should be quite interested in this move because um, this person has the initial person who I feel knows probably more than anybody in the world. Actually, not including Russia. I believe uh, Russia knows everything when it comes to these beings. I'm absolutely convinced of that. Actually, our nuclear geek gang, they know a piss load, and I mean a load. But one of my main contacts there has only communicated with one of these beings. Who knows what being it is? I haven't a freaking clue. Who knows? All right. A lot of us are convinced it is the typical Sasquatch people. I don't know. I haven't a clue. Right? I haven't spoke with one. I haven't seen one speak with another human being. I haven't a clue. I haven't had a verbal thought entered my mind except for mine in the woods ever in my life. And I'm pretty confident I've been in the woods a lot more than your average person who's in the woods a lot. Right? And I haven't experienced that. But I have experienced these Sasquatch beings, seen them, heard them. So, at this stage of the game, am I 100% convinced that it is your typical Sasquatch Sabe person that these people are in communication with? I don't know. I don't know. Am I going to find out? Yep, I'm going to find out. So, um, because I want to get a hold of Edgar and a couple of his contacts, and I will fly over to the UK to sit down with them in the same room. That's on my to-do list for this year as well, and I will do it. Just have to get them to agree to do it and everybody get in the right place at the right time. So my priority decision is going to be to go to Texas. And my contact there, who I am convinced knows so much, it's ridiculous, has two other contacts who are both communicating with beings on a regular basis and wants to send me out with them. What do I think about that? I'm on the fence. I'm not going down there. Okay, my guts do not say no, but they also aren't jumping at yes. That's my instincts. That's my internal feelings, which makes all the decisions for me. I'm sitting on the fence. I'm not 100% convinced that I would benefit from going into the middle of nowhere with these people to communicate with whoever or whatever it is they're communicating with. I'm on the fence. I'm cautious. And another thought that comes instantly into my mind when when I entertain the thought of doing that move is my First Nations elder contacts who I respect absolutely and 100% across the board. They all say, don't do it. We were raised to not communicate with these beings, period. Right? So, using common sense, rational thinking, who are you going to listen to? I always say that we should have listened to the indigenous people of various lands. First off, priority number one. We didn't, right? We didn't. Why not? I wonder why. We didn't listen. And in all the various continents where the Europeans showed up, they took what knowledge they needed, realized that these people can't really won't really fall in line and don't need anything from them. So they destroyed them culturally, physically, emotionally annihilated them, right? That's another topic. Why did they do that? I don't know. Why did they pick and choose what knowledge to accept or not accept from the indigenous people? Why did they do that? Why did they do that? Right? Why do you go to a foreign land, meet the indigenous people from there, look them in the eye, trust them? They helped you gather food, they helped you survive, they gave you the tools and knowledge to survive in their land. And then all of a sudden, nope, that other part you told us about those upright giant hairy beings, no, we're not going to take that as real, though. Everything else we'll take from you as real, but not that. Said no rational thinking mind ever, right? But we didn't. I'm babbling. What I'm saying is, I strongly believe we should have listened to the indigenous people of various continents from day one, period. But we picked and choose. Well, those previous people picked and choose, and look what the shit show it got us and the indigenous people into. It's not a good one. Anyway, I'm just giving you guys the argument that goes on between my ears when it comes to the thought of me going into the woods with somebody I don't really know. I got no problems with human beings. I can take care of myself, but what am I being led to? Is there possibly a door about to be cracked open into my existence, my daily existence, that I'm going to possibly down the road wish I didn't crack that frickin' door open? There's nothing I can do about it now. That's always the gamble, right? It's always the gamble. So, like I said, go with your gut. My gut isn't saying no, but my gut is definitely on alarm. It's like, be cautious. Think about what you do before you do it. I need to, just like my dear First Nations elder friends said, they needed to come and see me and stand before me and look into my eyes and feel my energy before they'd speak to me about anything. And that's what we did. And I passed the test, and now we're basically family. So I need to go down there to Texas for me and for us and meet these people, look into their eyes, feel their energy. And that will be my decider. I know that'll be the decider for me, without a doubt. I don't give a shit what they say to me verbally. I'll know. I can feel people's energy from a mile away when I'm in the same room as them. I'll know. I'll know the second I'm standing beside in front of these people. I'll know what to do. Anyway, aside from that, the original contact is going to share everything with me, everything, and obviously, I'm going to report back to the world. I'm going to report back to all you, word for word, everything that they um, everything that they will encourage me to share. And obviously, I don't know what the deal is. I believe a lot of people have secrecy when it comes to this topic. I don't know what the hell's going on because I don't have secrecy. And secrecy kind of annoys me in a ways. I've had a lot of people contacts. Okay, don't say anything, but don't say anything, but keep this under your hat. But it's like, holy shit, would you just spill it to the people for God's sakes? You know what I mean? And that's where I screw up sometimes. Is I will. I'll hear something, I'll learn something, I'll see something, I'll read something, and boom, I just share it to you guys like you guys are living in the same house as me, right? Hey guys, guess what? And then later on, I'll realize, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have shared that right away because it doesn't really make sense yet. Oops. Oh well. But that's how I roll. I don't have it in my nature to be instantly secretive. Unless it comes to hunting and fishing spots. Then I'm the grand poobah of being secret. Tell you what, but so that's the deal. In case anybody was confused, they're anticipating me doing this. Now you know. You know my entire plan. You know the chaos that goes on between my ears. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go down there and I'm going to listen to these people, and I'm possibly going to go in. But you got to admit it. You know how often I'm in the woods. Who needs to crack that freaking door open? And then all of a sudden I've got this annoying voice coming into my head without asking for permission every time I go in the woods and destroying everything that I'm passionate about and I love to do. That's a big gamble for me, right? It's a big gamble. That last trip, that's another confusing thing. Moving on to another topic, but similar. When I went to bed by myself in my tent on the ground next to that huge stand of timber, I'm not thinking about nothing. not thinking about anything. I'm not looking for the boogeyman. I'm not looking around the flashlight. I'm not nervous. I don't give a flying shit. I got a loaded magnum in my tent. If the 1 in a million happens, I don't care. I'm going to sleep. Done. And there's just enough service there. If I left my phone on long enough, it would pick up the signal and I could play a podcast, which helped me fall asleep. And I started playing it. And then all of a sudden I heard something down the timber. No big deal. There's lots of wildlife in the timber, right? And then here comes the helicopter again. Can't believe you guys can't hear that. You got to be able to hear that. Just give me a sec so we can come right over the freaking house again. Anyway, I'm get snuggled in my sleeping bag. I got a little small air mattress underneath me, and then I thought I heard something. I'm like, what was that? Because I did hear animals in the forest the first night I was there. No big deal. I can tell what game sounds like. It's no strange sound. I don't even give a shit if it's a bear. Whatever. I'm gonna sleep. And there's grizzly bears around there. I'm gonna sleep. Done it a million times. And then I thought I heard something, and then I thought I heard something again, and then 3 times I thought I heard something's. There was a normal sound, and then finally, I'm like, "What the hell is that?" And then you start getting my heart rate started to pick up. I'm like, what? And you're like, "What was that? What was that?" Which I never act like that ever. That's why this is mind boggling to me. I don't act like that. I don't get freaked out, but my heart rate started to increase, and then my breathing changed. And I took note of that. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And then like, okay, well, whatever. Left the phone off, snuggled back down in a sleep bag again, and then those 3 absolute ridiculous, powerful slams, booms, crashes, whatever, however you describe it, boom, into that tree right below me, right in that timber. And I'd made a video in that timber a couple days earlier where I had my back to the forest and I was leaning against those trees, my green jacket. That's where the sound came from, right there in those trees. And I started panting like a dog. Isn't that weird? I started panting like a dog. My heart was beating like freaking crazy. I shouldn't say panting like a dog, I'm like, just like that. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing for me because I don't do that. And then I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. Whatever did that, I don't need that walking up to my tent. Holy shit. Whatever did that, no way. No, and there is absolute no way I'm going to sleep right there. That's it. There's no way. There isn't a I don't give a shit who you are. There isn't a human being alive that's going to fall asleep after hearing that come out of that forest right there behind their tent. Even if you're with 10 people, not let alone being by yourself. I don't give a shit. It doesn't make a difference to me if I'm by myself or with another human being. Doesn't make a difference. But you are not going to sleep. Now I know I got to leave, regardless, right? So I turned on my headlamp, got my shit together, looked around, grab your gun. What else you need? You need clothes, you need this, you need that, you need that. Methodically, no panic, breathing, panting. What I call panting breathing. Heart frickin' racing. And then I calmly got out of my tent, grabbed my boots, but they're lace up boots. They take a while to cinch up. Just grab those, throw them in the truck, put the rifle in the passenger seat, loaded, which is illegal in Canada. I don't give a shit. And then backed my truck out of there and drove away, half expecting something to be in the high beams. And I phoned Sarah right away to let her know what was going on. And she stayed on the phone with me. And then, oh my God, I just got to get off the phone. And I drove I probably drove 8 miles and then slept away from there. What am I getting at? I don't know what I'm getting at. I'm babbling. And then what? I went back to that place the next morning. Camp's fine. Didn't feel uncomfortable at all. Didn't feel anything. I'm like, well, I'm out of here. Like I've done in the past when the odd things happen. I'm out of here. I'm not into it. I'll go somewhere else. And I packed up my shit and I made another camp only about 4 miles away. Just as big a timber. And that's the confusing part for me. What's up with that? How can I have the absolute shit scared out of me alone, 2-day drive from home in northern BC, right there. Yet I can still go and make a camp just over there and go to sleep on the ground and go hiking a couple kilometers into a timber patch, which I took you guys with me with the GoPro on. I took you in there, right? There's no question about it. I did that, and I was absolutely calm, cool, focused on hunting. I'm not looking behind any other tree. I'm not shitting myself. No big deal. Sit on the ground, have lunch, close my eyes, have a little fucking. It just doesn't make sense to me that you can have that extreme emotional change from one day to the next in the same area and still go in the woods. It just doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be that way. I hope I'm making sense right now. It just doesn't make sense. Your average human being would be like, I'm out of here. Let's get the hell out of here. I want to go home. And you vacate and you split and you get the hell out of there. You never come back. Right? So that point is very interesting to me. I don't quite understand it. I don't understand how I can have my heart rate change dramatically, my rate of breathing change that dramatically, be that alarmed, and only the next day be absolutely calm, cool, collected, no problem at all, like it didn't even happen. That doesn't make sense to me. That's an interesting thing for me, and I'd like to learn more about that and know why. Why is that? Do you know what I mean? It's almost like I was somewhere else in the world when that went down. Obviously, I wasn't, but I'm just saying. I'm trying to fully describe what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling when it came to that experience. It's almost like you were absolutely somewhere else. Shit goes down, and the next day it's like a year later, and you're right here, and everything's cool. But only it was a day later and 4 miles difference. It just doesn't make sense to me, and I hope it does. I hope it does one day, and I hope possibly when I go to Texas that that gap will be filled, or if I can manage to fly to the UK and hook up the nuclear gang, hopefully they can fill in that gap for me, and I will completely. I'm anticipating understanding a shit pile more after these two upcoming visits, without a doubt, and hopefully fill in these gaps that we've been trying to fill in here, right? As long as I stay alive long enough. So I always tell everybody, well, hopefully we can do this and that. As long as I'm still alive, then. As long as I'm still alive, stay alive long enough to pull that off. And it'll be interesting to share with all the people here, right? Anyway, that's my babble. How's that for a coffee loaded babble? Now, I'm gonna get a few more voices heard, right? Just keep chipping at it. It's like, how do I describe the emails? It's like the emails to me is almost like my wood pile that I had out there dumped there in May. It's a massive frickin' pile of wood, but as long as I just chip at it every once in a while, I'll get it done. Right? So, and I said, and I've always said, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. No matter what. It's like with the elk. If I say I'm not going home without the elk, I'm not going home until I get the elk. If I say I'm going to read every single frickin' email, I've already said it. Done. It's done deal. Have to do it. So how am I going to do that? You just keep chipping at it. You just keep chipping at that stack of emails and chipping at it and chipping at it when you get a moment, when you get an hour, when you get 10 minutes, and you get it done. And you don't quit until it's done. So that's what I'm doing. And if you're one of those twisted individuals that wants to come between me and getting it done, you're going to lose. At all costs, you're going to lose, which they have. Now, who do we got? Who do we got? Anybody here? It's probably a handful of people here, right? I'm guessing. I don't even know how to tell how many people are here. I don't know. What do we got? I'll read a couple comments real quick. Steve, you have had two experiences now in a short period of time. The knife just appearing and the dramatic tree knocks. You need to go to Texas and you need to meet with Sabe. Never look back. We'll see. I do know that I need to meet with the people who know. I know that without a doubt. That is absolute priority. I said I will. So now you know I will. I said I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I have not said I'm going to go in the woods and seek out communication with these beings. I haven't said that. That's that I think that decision to say that publicly would be absolutely irresponsible on my end because I do not know who I'm going to meet in the human side of it. I haven't a clue. I don't know what their energy is like. I don't know what their demeanor is. I need to look into their eyes and be in the same room as them, and I'll know instantly. And then I can make that decision. I'll have a few questions too, but I believe I'll know. I will know the moment I'm in the presence of these human beings without them even speaking. I'll know. And how can I explain that more? If that sounds confusing. I was in tune with that natural skill that we all have when I was a young boy. Picture this one. When I talk about being in the presence of someone and knowing. Um, while growing up, I probably might not have been able to be um, intimately in touch with that skill that we have, or even describe it as a skill until later in life around now. But the first time I do believe I was presented with that skill was when I was a young boy. Parents are divorced. My mom's a super kind, beautiful woman, a little naive when it came to men. I'm up the road playing hockey after supper, as usual, road hockey with my friends. I come home, and I have, at that age, I had definitely not been exposed to any evil in any way when it comes to human beings, right? Now picture this. I come home and there's a weird car in front of my house. And I was about, I don't know how old I was. I haven't a clue. Actually, I could look back and try to figure it out. I might have been 10 or something. I don't know. And I'm going up my stairs, and here's this man. He's not in my house. He's standing on the top of my stairs. My mom's got the door open, and they're talking. And they look down at me, and I think she introduced me. I'm not sure. But all I remember is this: that man was standing on the top of my stairs. I was 10 ish years old. Okay. Getting back to the energy and being in the presence of people. And I had never been exposed to any kind of evil or darkness ever until that moment. And I'll never forget it. It was like yesterday. The second that man looked at me, every single hair on my body turned to wire like it was going to snap off. I felt absolutely threatened. Absolutely threatened. And oh man, oh man, oh man. Just like that. Innocent boy with no experience previous at all, but my natural senses were going off the frickin' chart. That this is one dark, evil, threatening, whatever it is. It was amazing how intense that feeling was. And I remember it like yesterday. And sure enough, years later, that man destroyed my family. And I never got to see my mom again. I never got to see my grandparents again. They all died, except my grandfather. I had to sneak in to see him. And that man destroyed everything close to me later on in life. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, just thought I'd share that when I'm trying to get across clearly that we already know. We already know the truth. We already know the truth. We know what's authentic. We know what isn't. We know. Without speaking, we know. And we are not taught that in school when we leave the nest and go into that public school system when we're 5 years old. We're not taught about those skills. Nobody even mentions those skills in school, right? Right? Am I right or wrong? I know I'm right. So anyway, that's why I always, always, always encourage everyone here. You got to think for yourself. Don't let me be in that position of telling you shit. Don't let any human being be in the position of telling you shit. You have to decide. We need bullshit to come here. We need bullshit here. We need bullshit stories here. We almost sort of need dark sons of bitches here so that we can feel the presence and learn to recognize those individuals or that bullshit, recognize it, and teach our children or people we're close to and care about those skills and make them aware that they have that skill too. It would make society smooth across the board. Don't you think? If we were taught that at a young age, hey, listen, you're 5 years old, you're in grade one. Now, class, right away, we're gonna make sure that all you kids know this, that you already know the truth and you know how to feel what's good or bad. Could you imagine if we were taught that? What society would be like today, right? Coffee's kicking in. Anyway, that's what I'm getting at. We know the truth. We don't need to even be spoken to. We need to be in the presence of someone. You just need to be in the room with them. I know that is fact. But all I can do is encourage people to look into that yourself and try to feel it, try to learn and get that skill back and hone it, be intimately connected to it. All right. It will enhance your life. So, just so you guys know, I became in tune with my gut instincts, really intimately in tune, probably 20 something years ago, 25 years ago. And since that day, I have never had a boss. All right. Since I was 25, I've never had a boss. I've never had anyone dictate to me what I can or cannot do with my time in life. And I have let my gut make 100% of my decisions. Sometimes been a little off, sometimes I haven't, but I can guarantee you this: from that day on, 25 ish, my life skyrocketed in that direction. Skyrocketed. All right. From being in tune with your gut instinct, your sixth sense, and not taking shit from anyone, not letting anybody mislead you, and knowing what's authentic or not. That's enough babbling. Holy shit, I'm babbling. You think I was in the woods for 3 weeks by myself or something? So, back to making this about the people. Let's listen to somebody speak, all right? Somebody else needs to be heard besides me here. Somebody else. This is titled Crazy Story. These are all recent, all right? So obviously my days have been screwed, and it's easy for me to read the new ones right now to be certain I don't repeat, because I have to, excuse me, go back with trial and error, excuse me, and figure out what I haven't read and dig that up because of my notes getting erased from the other phone. Hello, my name is. All right. I don't know if this is a plug or not, so I don't know who this is, so we'll just share your name. Hello, my name is Red Fox with blank blank. I just watched your video about the knife you lost and how it ended up in your pack. Well, I have a similar story. Backtrack 4 weeks. I'm out exploring a set of woods I have never been to. My backpack is a soft pack, and somehow it unzipped and opened up. I lost a nice set of binoculars, a knife, and a sheath for it. I tried to backtrack my steps to no avail. It was gone, nowhere to be seen. Fast forward now about 6 weeks. I'm out at a new camp, just miles from a woodland I was exploring earlier 6 weeks prior. I have since, like you, emptied my pack multiple times, reloaded it, and nothing. I'm out camping for a weekend getaway. Same pack. I packed before I left. As per my usual, I start emptying my pack to reload everything before going home. And right at the top of the pack is the knife in its sheath and the binoculars I lost 6 weeks prior. I can't explain it. I don't know how, but I can say I did leave camp for a bit, went on a hike, left my pack back in the base camp because I was carrying my camera pack for almost an hour out taking shots. So it had to have happened from the time I left to go hiking and take pictures and come back to base camp. But I know for a fact those items were not there when I left to go camping, when I left my house. I can't explain it. I don't understand it. But there you go. It was fate. It was God. Was it just karma? Who can say? But the items were there. No clue how they got there. Oh, how I can relate to that, man. There you go. There's another one. And I wonder, Red Fox. Okay, Red Fox, I wonder if you shared that, what you just shared here previous with anybody else, right? I would be surprised if you didn't, because even me, um, it's such a bizarre what the F for your average human mind to take in and make sense of and even be curious about, right? I mean, let's face it, as soon as that happened, my buddy who has a degree in psychology, he shows up and I told him, he was like, what the hell? What else can you say? You can't even talk about that experience, really. What are you going to talk about? Not much. You just kind of, your average human mind just goes, huh? Crazy. That's so bizarre. And then you carry on. You just carry on. Like it didn't even have, like, what else, what can you do? There's nothing you can do. It's such a weird thing. And then I texted, group texted two of my friends, very close friends I've known for over 20 years, hunting partners, and I text them what happened. One friend didn't even reply, and the other friend went, "Oh man, that's it. That's as far as it goes." Right? It's as far as it goes. There's not much else you can really talk about or say or react. Right? It's a really weird thing to have shit like this happen, and you can't even talk about it with your closest friends because you just can't. What are you going to talk about? What are you going to say for more than 30 seconds? Not much, right? Not much. And if they weren't there, they didn't experience it firsthand, they're not going to think about it tomorrow. But thank God we've got more people emailing in that have had that happen. Such a bizarre. Even okay, we just heard from Red Fox his story. All right, on to the next one. Right, we heard it, gone forever. Such a weird thing. I don't even know if I'm making sense right now. Sometimes my brain just doesn't mesh up with my lips. Right? It's even like seeing a freaking a hair covered upright human like being about 800 pounds, and you tell a group of people, and they'll go, "Wow, no way, crazy." They might think about that story you shared with them for what, 2 minutes, and then they just carry on with life. No big deal, right? When in reality, if you think rationally, if a stand-up citizen from your community or life says, "I just saw a 10-foot tall, 900-pound being with red glowing eyes out back in the forest," that should be the number one story on all the news channels around the planet, right? Think about it. Think about it. That has really been seen. That should be, for the human population, the number one story on the news around the globe until we get the answer of what the F's going on. But it's not. Why not? Right? I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm making sense. It just does not make sense. It just does not make sense that we can have, God only knows how many people we've had come here alone. The exact same story around the globe, but it doesn't even get taken seriously, ever. It's very bizarre. We are a very bizarre species. Our minds are very confusing. The human mind is a very, very confusing thing. Our existence is very confusing. Hopefully, not for much longer. So, I'm not going to stop until we get the answers. And I think we're going to have them. Well, I'm very confident we're going to have them. And it's probably going to be a bit much to wrap our noodle around, but I'm going to get the answers. Holy babble fast. All right, what do we got? Washington State encounters while hunting and fishing. All right, here we go. Hi, Steve. My name is Jay Glover. Sorry for the long email, but I think it's worth the read. Okay, Jay, just so you know, this is live. And I hope to God at the very end of this email, you say, don't use my name. You wouldn't believe how many people have done that. They'll write, and then I'll get down about 4 paragraphs and they'll say, oh, please don't share the above publicly. Right? Too late. So I think all you people about to write in, take note. It might be shared live. So make sure you do it right. I'm 42 and a lifelong resident of southeastern Washington State. I've been hunting since I was 9 and going with my dad even before I could walk. We hunt everything from deer and elk to waterfowl and upland game, so I have my fair share of time in the woods and outdoors. I've had many experiences that I couldn't explain. Things such as footsteps around me that I thought may be large animals, rocks clanking together, howls that don't quite seem like a coyote or a dog, twigs and brush snapping in the distance, etc., etc. I usually just brush them off as nature being nature and figured it had to be an animal of some sort. One spring, about 2013, my wife at the time and I took our 3 young children to the Tucannon Lakes area, Tucannon Lakes area of the Blue Mountains in eastern Washington. The state stocks small lakes with trout, so it's a great area for families to catch some fish. We got in late, set up camp, put the kids to bed. My wife pointed out 2 red glowing spots on the side of the ridge. We watched for 20 or 30 minutes as the lights moved back and forth, probably a foot or so. We know what that is. I figured it was probably someone screwing around with red lights on a headlamp way up the hillside in the middle of the canyon. I went to bed, and when I woke up, I realized that there was another hillside blocking my view of the canyon. And where the lights had been was only maybe 150 yards away. And there was a giant pine tree right in the middle of a 70-degree slope. I can't imagine anyone would be up there on such a steep terrain in pitch black darkness. My next encounter was more eventful. About a year and a half after the first, I decided I was going to archery elk hunt near the base of Mount Adams and just to the west of the Yakima Indian Reservation in central Washington. I'd not hunted this area nor scouted, so I took the wife and kids and figured it would be more of a family camping trip with elk hunting thrown in. Day one, I didn't see much of anything but cattle that seemed oddly skittish. I saw a few elk tracks, but nothing fresh. I thought it odd that every track I did see was headed west, only west. I drove down a logging road and got into an area that had burned a month prior. As I was trying to get turned around and head for the green forest, I noticed several deer. This was the only place I saw game animals the entire trip, right in the freshly burned open woods. Very odd to me. That night, we got the kids to bed, and my wife and I sat by the fire. Suddenly, about 75 yards as I guessed, in the pitch black forest and dense brush, we heard something big and loud come crashing through. You could hear the ground pounding like it was something heavy, and it just stopped suddenly. I had my home defense shotgun next to the camp trailer, so I grabbed it and waited for about 30 minutes, but never heard another thing but the pop of the campfire. Not a noise from the forest whatsoever. It was like the forest just shut off and went dead silent. We climbed into the trailer, and I waited up for about an hour but heard nothing else. The next morning, we all piled into my truck and went for a drive. I spotted a narrow road headed south into the woods and decided to check it out since I knew the gravel road I was on was only about another mile from the Indian reservation and I'd have to turn around anyway. It had rained a few days before, so I could tell that there were no tracks, there were no tire tracks in the soft and muddy ground leading down this road. The trees and brush were touching the mirrors on my Dodge Ram as I drove deeper down this road. We got to an old clear cut, and I saw a herd of about 25 cattle. They were seriously skittish and would bolt and run if I got within 100 yards of them. I thought, that's odd, but continued hunting. After about 2 hours of not seeing anything and nothing responding to cow elk calls and a few bugles, we decided to head to camp. And that's when shit got creepy. We drove out the same road we came in on with only my tire tracks on the ground when we saw a half a dozen 4-inch thick tree branches laying across the middle of the road, about 3 on each side, and all were very obviously snapped off the top of trees, 9 to 12 feet off the ground, something no human could have done, too high up without a ladder and not been cut but snapped. I got out on full alert with my 9mm clutched in my hand, but knowing whatever did this wasn't going to be phased by a little handgun. I moved the trees as fast as I could and got the hell out of there. When we got to the end of the logging road and turned onto the gravel Forest Service road, my wife said, "Look at that." I turned to see a deadfall tree that was about 30 feet long and maybe 2 foot thick. It had broken off the stump about 4 feet up, but it looked as if something had placed it there on top of the stump with about 12 feet of the tree hanging off the back. That's a bit of a display, isn't it? I don't think nature could have done that. Something with a hell of a lot of strength had to have placed it there purposely. Maybe as a marker, I'm guessing. We got back to camp and hightailed it for home as quick as we could, hitched the trailer. I spoke with my dad about it when I got home, knowing he'd hunted this area before, and he said he'd had some unexplainable experiences there, but didn't seem to want to elaborate. So I let it be, and we have discussed it since. I may not have seen a Sasquatch, but I know they are 100% real. Thanks, Chief, for what you do, and for the naysayers, to hell with them. Okay, man. All right, so I think from the patterns shared here from the true, honest people and the members of the club, obviously there was a being standing there swaying side to side, right? Without a doubt. How can I say that with confidence? Because we've had thousands of people come here and share with us the side to side swing that they do when there's anxiety they got going on. I haven't a freaking clue. I don't know why they do it. I'm going to find out probably. The red eyes glowing. It's a pattern. It's a pattern you can't ignore. That's all there is to it. Unless, of course, you're one of those weirdos that don't want anybody to acknowledge that a monkey can do that. Right. All right. Thanks for sending that in, man. Appreciate you. And make sure you don't quit going in the woods. All right. Make sure you don't stop going. All right. Don't stop going ever. Holy, this is a book. Do we got time? I think I've been here for a while already, haven't I? I don't have a clue how long we've been babbling. Sarah gonna frickin' kill me if I. How long is that? That's a long one. Screw it, I'm going in. Okay, I'm gonna read this, and then I'm gonna get out there and hopefully have a better day than yesterday. This is titled "My Entrance to the Club of No Return." Greetings, Steve, and fellow card-holding members of this club. No one willingly asked to join. My joining actually started in April of 2020 with an encounter out fishing on a lake near Hillsboro, Missouri that has a slow leak. What? A lake with a slow leak. It is the same lake a fellow member wrote in about in the beginning of June this year, which Steve read about. I too saw a sabe, only my sighting was in the day, 100 yards or so from where he had his encounter. As much as I wish to tell of that mind-blowing day, I have a much bigger fish to fry, and a word from the sabe themselves that is far more relevant than a mere retelling of me crapping myself. Ooh, here we go. Let me start by explaining something about myself, some things about myself that I hope will help all of you to understand my second very close encounter and interactions with the people. Now, take note, you guys, these beings allegedly, through communicating with human beings, are referred to themselves as the people numerous times. It's another pattern, right? I don't think they ever referred to themselves as being Gigantopithecus. Not yet, right? I know, I'll stop. I'm an empath, or simply put, I can see, hear, and communicate with spirits, angels of the Lord, and various other entities. That's interesting. I've been able to do so since I was a child. Only no one believed me, including my family, except one, my grandmother. As a child, I would stay with my grandparents in their home on the very same lake that would change my life forever. I would speak to my friends in the trees all the time and thought nothing of it. It was just normal for me to hear things no one else could hear, to see things they couldn't see, even if they were standing right beside me. People shunned me, called me crazy, out of touch, or would not believe me, so I stopped even trying to tell others of what was to me an everyday thing. You see, years ago, they would have just thrown you in a fire and burnt you alive. As I grew older, I spoke less and less about my tree friends. I could still feel their presence out there, only it was like they stayed a distance not to alarm me. As I grew older, my ability seemed to diminish, but never fade away completely. And unusual things would happen regularly around my aunt and uncle's house that is on that very same lake my grandparents had lived on. The feeling of being watched, things being thrown, weird objects like pine cones left in the front seat of my locked car, or that icy bowel loosening fear out of nowhere for no reason. Then there were the heavy footsteps coming through the leaf litter, which my cousin has said has heard many times either in the early morning, going to work, or late at night coming home. For 50 years, not once did I actually see a sabe. I only felt their presence and wrote it off as a spirit causing trouble, which happens very often if you are sensitive to them. So I thought nothing of the strange shit happening around me. It's just another day in the paradise. Well, that was until May of this year when I got a phone call from my cousin about something in his front yard off one side of his driveway. Intrigued, I went down to see for myself what he was talking about. And little did I know that day would change my life forever. It was May 24th of this year. It was May 24th of this year. So the trees had leaves, the sun was warm, and you wanted to be out in the great outdoors enjoying it. What I saw that day was a game trail that for years I have seen flocks of turkey, 10-point bucks, and countless does run across the yard from one side to the other and disappear into. Now, though that same game trail a moose could walk through with no problem, trees were twisted off, not broken, at the my eye level and forced away from the trail. The forest canopy was so thick it looked like a dark tunnel going about 30 yards to the neighbor's newly laid gravel driveway. Only it didn't feel right, like the temperature dropped, or when you enter a cold spot walking into a room. Now, normally I think of a spirit when this happens, only much, much stronger, and every hair on my body stood on end. That's when an old, very familiar voice spoke to me, warning me. I quote, "Do not go any further. The skin of the world is thin here. We will not be able to save you if you enter." End quote. Wow. Then, heavy footsteps coming through the trees. Politely, I thanked him for the warning and slowly backed out to the driveway and headed toward my cousin standing in front of the house. The look on his face was of total shock and disbelief when I told him what had just happened to me. So we went inside to talk in the belief nothing else would happen. Ha ha, yeah, right. As we sat in his living room talking, I noticed movement outside through his kitchen window. So, without saying anything, I kept looking out the window, and sure as shit, there he was. It was an outline of a large cone shaped head that literally sat on his shoulders with absolutely no neck and bowling ball sized shoulders that would make a WWE wrestler envious. And here's the kicker: it was just an outline of this weird predator like prismatic sheen of color, not a damn thing else. I could see right through him to the oak tree by the driveway. He must have realized I saw him because he quickly moved off from the right to the left. Before I could say anything to my cousin, he then moved from the left to the right and disappeared again. Amazing, amazing as that may be, that was just the beginning of this incredible day. We talked, and I grew a pair enough for us to go out and have a look for anything to back up what I saw, only we found nothing. No footprints, no disturbed gravel in the driveway, or moved things on the patio where he was looking in at us. So, seeing how it was lunchtime, we went into town to get lunch and come back. Here is where my life took a turn into the freaking twilight zone. My cousin's daughter wanted to go out and ride her new bike, which, looking back, had my cousin not said fine after 10 minutes of a temper tantrum, my life would be semi normal. Oh no, not to be ever again. So outside we went, and they started to go up the driveway toward the road that goes around the lake. And I grabbed a lawn chair to quietly sit and listen to the woods I love so much. Okay, I'll try to set this up so my wonderful family can visualize what is to happen and understand my poor verbiage. I was sitting at the edge of the garage facing up the driveway. In front to the left of me was a parked car. The woods on my right are about 20 feet away, with gravel and leaves all over on the ground in between me and the woods. Out in the area between the trees and my car steps, okay, sorry. Out in the area between the trees and my car steps a being or cutout figure outlined in prismatic colors. So that's like prism, right? That is utterly invisible except for his 10-foot tall outline. He has a cone shaped head, no neck, shoulders almost as wide as my crew's, arms to his knees, the stop with hands that have palms facing inward, a V shaped back, slim waist to height ratio, long legs as big around as my waist and covered in what looks like gently flowing, blowing fine hair. He makes no sound whatsoever as he takes 2 steps toward me, covering that 20 feet with a glide like step that seems to make him float, as it was so smooth. The grace of that walk amazed me, how smooth it was. No head shift, slight arm swing, and absolutely no sound of crunching gravel or crackling leaves with either step. Just perfect silence. He then took a half a step in front of my car and squatted down, not 4 or 5 feet away from me, as I sat frozen in complete awe. Now I can hear all you yelling at your devices. There ain't no effing way you would sit there and let this thing from out of a fairy tale tower over you. You would have got the hell out of Dodge like your hair was on fire and your ass was catching. That's the amazing part. I felt absolutely no fear, not even a tiny prickle anywhere on my body. Just a soothing, gentle presence I have felt once before, in the presence of an angel. No fear, no fight or flight, just peace and calm. So I sat calmly, trying not to turn my head to look at him and give the jig up. I knew he was there, not but a few feet from me. And then I felt that gentle pressure all over my body that you have related to us in so many stories, with one exception. I also felt him gently touching my mind as well. It was like he was reviewing my life story and I was seeing it through a movie film in a super fast forward. I didn't try to stop him, nor did I fight him to keep him out. Hell, if he wanted my pathetic ass, I was a human burger. No, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I sat there for at least a minute, letting him see what he wished to see of me. Then, being the smartest that I am, I turned my head and looked him straight in the face. And I said, "Hi there," and smiled. He went from swaying back and forth to jerking backwards, excuse me, like I just smacked him in the head with a shovel. To my, I'm sorry, the surprise, confusion, and "oh shit, he can see me" came over me, and I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I felt amusement, joy at seeing a long lost friend once again, and curiosity over what has happened to me wash over me in a rush. Never have I felt so many different feelings and questions so fast that it literally made me dizzy enough that I almost fell out of the chair. Slowly, my head cleared, and I could feel him gently stop scanning my mind. All that I can say is that experience is nothing, and I mean nothing, like I've ever had in my life. Yes, I can and do speak with spirits, only this was a totally different level, and not just a mental meld of minds, but also a spiritual connection that is truly beautiful to experience. I could sense he was just as shaken by what had happened as I was. He then stood up, looked down at me, and that moment my cousin and his daughter were coming down the driveway. He turned towards them, then turned back towards me, and in my mind said, quote, "I must go. I do not wish to scare the little one," end quote. And then turned northwards to the woods and again stepped into a doorway that I couldn't see, and just vanished as if he had never been there. No footsteps, no smell, no nothing. Just memories all in the span of around 2 minutes. The longest, most incredible 2 minutes of my life. And for you guys out there, yes, even those 2 minutes. And I don't say I don't know what he's talking about. Yeah, right. I've never felt so alive, so dumbfounded that a myth, a monster out of horror movies could have reached out and touched me only to have him do so with his mind. Yes, they can read our minds. Yes, they can also read our auras. Yes, they can make themselves near invisible in daylight and totally in darkness. They can move in total silence and be within mere arm's reach without any sign that they are there unless they want you to know they are there. Not once did I feel like I was in any danger or that he was going to hurt me at all. And amazingly, he was more worried about scaring the 5-year-old. Amazing encounter, I admit, only that was not the end, just the beginning of my path down one hell of a sobe hole. Holy shit. Now, let's have a little pause. Could you imagine waking up in the morning and thinking to yourself, I found this asshole on YouTube. I'm really going to mess with him. What should I think up? What should I think up right now and type out and send in? Right? Imagine thinking this shit up intentionally. Don't think so. Not my guts telling me no frickin' way right now. The dream started right after that afternoon of me standing in the driveway at night to have a Sabe come out of the game trail, telling me to run. The Star Travelers were coming for me. Run. Let me read that again. Telling me to run. The Star Travelers were coming for me. Run. Okay, we've heard about the star people mentioned more than a handful of times in the past from various people. Upon waking up to hear a loud boom directly above my home as if something had just shot straight up and away. On more than one night, to dream of a Sabe standing in front of me asking questions or grilling me on why our people have lost our way. How do you answer that when you don't have any context as to with their what they're talking about? We'll come to find out over many thought sessions with them. I have a more complete puzzle than they have asked me to keep to myself for my safety. I will say this: what we have been told by our benevolent leaders is total bullshit. Oh, we know that. We know that without a doubt. Every single club member knows that without a doubt. The government of every country around the world is in on and knows the truth. Only wishes to keep us worker bees in line and in the dark. Absolutely agreed. The old saying, ignorance is bliss. Well, they have taken that dial and cranked it to 10. We're being controlled and have been, not for thousands of years. Oh no, for hundreds of thousands of years. Yes, you heard it right. Hundreds of thousands of years. We are cousins of the Sabe. Only we, because of our learning, haha, we were dumbed down, so we are more controllable, more pliant to their teachings on history, religion, our place in this universe, and especially our relationships to the Creator. We humans have been told over and over the lies fed to us by those we trust that we are alone on this planet. We are not. That there is no intelligent life out there but us. Hardly. That our governments don't have, quote, alien technology, end quote, but they do. How many lies, half truths, or omissions are we away from the whole truth? I have no idea, honestly, nor do they, if and when they answer my questions. All those truths have come over months worth of asking and receiving answers I truly had no wish to hear. Some knowledge is better left to the ages. Now for my last incredible piece of the puzzle we are building. 2 weeks ago, I was hit by some form of energy in the crown of my head that hurt like nothing I've ever felt before, including dying. Yes, I passed over, but that's a story for another time. Fortunately for me, I have dealt with evil entities before and I know an attack when I feel it. That was with that was what this was. An attack meant to possibly fry my brain, only because of my previous experiences. I know to put up a shield around me of pure white light, say the Lord's Prayer, which by the way works, and send said energy back to the sender. Oh my God, did that work? Only I had a small stadium's worth of entities in my head, all asking if I was all right, all at once, seconds after being attacked. This is sounding pretty crazy, isn't it? But the truth is going to be crazy, isn't it? I assured them that I was fine. I began to wonder what I had done or said to provoke anything, let alone being attacked for no clear reason like I was. The next night I was going to bed. I just laid down when an incredibly beautiful emerald green light started shining into my living room and kitchen like it was on my front porch. Slowly it slid away, only to reappear in my bedroom window as a soccer ball sized glowing orb floating about 6 feet off the ground between my house and my neighbor's house, which has been described hundreds of times from other people. Then that very same voice asked me if I was hurt, which I said no, and told me to stay safe. And once I was healed, to come visit them in person. That again, like before, he went through an open portal and said Spirit ball disappeared like it was never there. Needless to say, the light scared my poor neighbors to death, and they refused to say anything about it when I questioned them about the light. How profound is that? A Sabe came into a major city like St. Louis. I could see the arc from my driveway just to check up on just to check up on me. My mind was totally blown on why he would expose himself like that. I'm nobody that has done absolutely nothing to even think about bragging about at all. Well, I got my answer later that night when I was contacted again. Apparently, our auras or energy fields shine to them, appearing to show our moods. If we are injured or we've committed something so hideous to leave a black mark, rape, child abuse, or, God forbid, murder of a fellow human being marks us as evil. And that's why, when they encounter someone so marked, the warnings to get the hell away or face the consequences are very real. They may not, they may not harm us unless harmed by us out of hate, anger, or feel all bets are off the table. Sorry, let me do that sentence one more time. They may not harm us unless harmed by us out of hate, anger, or fear. Then all bets are off the table. Hence, rock throwing, branch snapping, and yelling to warn us idiots away to safety or from serious harm. My answer came in what happened to me in 2010 out of my own stupidity, excuse me, and a doctor who lost his license and is now a wanted man by the FBI. Medicare fraud. I went septic, passed over to the other side, and was sent back by an angel of the Lord to finish my time here as the Creator intended. The Sabe explained to me I have been touched by the Maker, and in doing so, the Sabe are deeply spiritual, see me as shining brighter than most other people because I was touched by the Creator. The Sabe see us humans as lost souls that have been led astray by evil or evil's advancement. Yes, there is evil out there, as well as good in this world and many other dimensions, worlds, and universes other than our own. Any more than I have been asked not to, any more than that, I've been asked not to share at this time because, as this saying goes, the truth will come out when it is the right time. I vibrate at a much higher frequency than most others out there, hence, I make others shy away or avoid me without realizing why, because we can't see, only feel that vibration on a lower conscious level. All right, so that kind of meshes up with being the presence of somebody in a room, right? You look in their eyes and just be in the presence of them. And we know, right? Doesn't that kind of somewhat relate to that? This is just one of the many things about them. The world and everything in between we discuss on a regular nightly basis. Mind speak sucks after a while, trust me. Who in their right mind wants an irate Sabe demanding an answer to someone else's F up over some idiot with a shotgun beating on trees in the middle of the night? Dumbasses do dumb things, what can I say? They're out there watching, listening, and laughing at us when we do truly stupid things. They are just like us with families, loved ones to be with, duties to perform, and little ones to keep safe and teach about us and the world around us. They have treated me with more humanity than some of my fellow man has. So does that make them pinnacles of righteous upstanding? Hardly. Like us, they feel love, anger, and hate and joy, and yes, the pain of losing a loved one. If you're lucky enough to see one, remember they are just like you or me, only we have lost most, if not all they can do over time. We have definitely figured that out, without a doubt. We have definitely figured that out. The ones who are trained are true monsters. Sorry, let me reread that. The ones who are trained are true masters of energy in ways that we can only dream of. So, am I full of shit? That I'll leave up to you, my fellow club members, to decide. We never asked for this shit handed to us, nor do we want to wake up to a world smaller, darker, and totally foreign to us in every freaking way. Only we have been given an opportunity to step out of our comfort zones, away from all we know, to hopefully reach out and find we do have friends out there who respect our wishes and are watching and waiting when the day comes when both our peoples can come together for a better, brighter day. One last thought. Steve, they are watching you, listening to you, and respecting your wishes. They are in every video you release. I'm talking at least three a video, whether it's when you built the gangster chicken coop at your home, to your steelhead outings at the river. They know about you by name here and gave their approval for me to send this after much revision. You are our bullhorn for the world to hear the truth, unvarnished by all the bullshit others would have us believe is truth. Shout the truth, brother, like only you can do, like only you can, for we are listening. If a time arises when I am allowed to say more, be assured my sorry ass will definitely send in more of the truth I have been given. Yes, there is much, much more I would love to say, but asked not to. My newly found friends can only protect and help any of us so much, especially when other humans are involved. So please stay safe, my friends. Lastly, those three blasts you heard the other day was them warning you of a Wendy. Rhymes with go coming to your location to introduce itself, if you get my meaning. Thank you for all you do, Steve, and stay safe, brother. May the Creator bless you all. Coward signing up for now. Cowward signing up for now. Whew, there you go. You read the book. Take it from away, will or leave it, right? Huh. So the three blasts possibly warning. All right, I get it. Do I accept that as fact? It's about the only thing so far that would help me try to make sense of that evening. But here's what the other side of my brain says right away. All right, so if they're warning me of a Wendigo or possibly some kind of bad entity coming to visit me, what stopped it from doing it every night after that in a different location? What stopped it from doing what it wanted to do? Do you know what I mean? Let's just say, entertain it. All right. The three overwhelmingly powerful blasts into those trees down below me were a warning that something was coming to introduce itself to me. All right. What stopped it? What stopped it from visiting me? What stopped it from coming and visiting me during the day, a mile and a half, 2 miles into timber by myself? What stopped from doing it then? Right? That's a few questions have come to my mind. And is it the way? Is it I don't know. I haven't a clue. Is it a vibration change in the environment that allowed that door to be open? Possibly. Was the door shut again and blocked them out? Definitely. Till the next time. I don't know. But it's questions you come up with when you have people writing in this, writing in these experiences, this knowledge they allegedly have. Do I believe this person to be sincere? My gut's not saying no right now. I'll tell you that much. My gut's not saying no. There's too much mentioned in there from this person that we've heard from various other people. You can't ignore that, right? Unless you don't want to acknowledge that, and then you just keep your head in the sand hole in the ground, right? So it's an interesting ride, right? It's an interesting ride trying to get to the bottom of this. One thing I hope we can all agree on at this stage of the game, though, is we have been intentionally, absolutely dumbed down without a doubt. I knew that a long time ago. Long time ago. I I think one of my only fears. I don't fear much. I was trying to figure it out the other day what really scares me, what I fear. I think right now one of my greatest fears that comes straight to my mind when I ask myself that question is I fear getting to the end of this lifetime. I've said it before, and possibly going, oh shit, you dirty, filthy bastards, you got me. You got me this whole entire my life, my ride, my time, and you misled me and you suppressed me and you got me. Fuck. That's my greatest fear right now. That's why I'm here. So I want to know way, way, way before the end of this ride, right? Don't you? Don't you want to know? I want to know now. I want to know. I want the knowledge now. I want to make a difference now for everybody here, everybody in the planet. I want to learn now and find out now and and stop this shit show. That's what I want to do. And I'm going to be quite upset and angry if we put all this time in that we've been putting in and we don't, and we still end up in the very end of this lifetime going, oh shit, you filthy bastards. Right? I've had that feeling a handful of times in this lifetime already. You got me. Shit, there's nothing I can do about it. Right? And I want to dwell on that, but I've already experienced that. I've already experienced that feeling and I'm over it. I don't want to do it again. I want to know now. I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out this shit. And I don't know how long everybody who's here right now has been here, but this this group of people has come a long way. You got to agree on that one. Come a long freaking way. And we got people like this coming forward and contacting us and sharing what they got. A lot of people are going to probably think this guy's a fruitcake, doesn't have a clue. He's out looking for attention. I don't think so. I don't think so. But that's just me. I'm probably cooked. I'm a kook too, right? Anyway, there you go. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. What to say? I got so many thoughts going through my mind after reading an email like that, right? And what to say next? I don't know. I know one thing. Yeah, it's good. I'm gonna chew on these thoughts for a while. I got a lot to think about. I'm sure everybody else does, unless you're not really listening, right? Unless you're just sitting here hoping to be entertained, which is the absolute wrong thing to do. Uh, what else? What else? What else? I had a handful of people email me cautioning me about the video I did. I did a video doing videos from where my home is, where I live, and caution me. One guy emailed me. He says, "It took me 5 minutes to figure out where you were, man. You got to stop doing that." So just so you guys know, there's a lot of people looking out for me, obviously, but to not feel so insecure with that, you can find out where anybody lives, right? It's not hard. These you cannot keep your existence secret. Not today. You can't. I don't worry about it. I'd be more worried about somebody who came here with dark intentions, with the people in my neighborhood and what goes on here and how we're set up. I'd be more worried about somebody coming to do something dark here. And give you an example of how easy it is. I mentioned earlier somebody brought it to my attention. Somebody's making videos about me, trying to tear me down, trying to tear this place down and discredit as much as they can. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Caught my I had nothing better to do, and I listened to this video for a little bit. But then I caught this person made an inquiry about Sarah. I'll tell you what, uh, I just from hearing that, you feel protective and you're a fighter. And just to give you, I'm just giving you an example of maintaining anonymous presence in the globe today. You can't be done. I'm going to give you an example. This person made mention of Sarah's name, and I went into full predator mode. And I had that person's address in Everett, Washington in my possession in less than an hour. Knew where he lived. Boom. Right? That's another story. I won't even elaborate on that. But anyway, I'm just giving you guys an example. And if you want to find out where somebody is, you're going to find out. Okay? So don't worry about me and here, my home and what I share. You told me to try to keep my location secret. NA, not applicable. I'll tell you what. You mentioned my family. You're going to have the most ruthless, no quit hunter coming after your ass, and you don't want that. Uh-uh. All right, I babbled enough. I'm probably in trouble. Sarah's in there. Sarah's packaging hats today and t-shirts. So I don't even know how often she does that. If you want to get in on today's shipping, I think there's the links. You can find it, whatever. But I'm going to go, you guys, all right? Sorry I didn't read all the comments. Maybe I can do it later. I think you can pull up the comments and questions later, right? So if there's some stuff, some important stuff on the comment section, I'll try to read it later on tonight. But right now, I've got a lot to do, and I'm going to go do it. So there you go. I think live is a lot easier than dealing with this crapping out computers and editing programs and bullshit. That's frustrating. So maybe we'll do live again tomorrow. You never know. I hope everybody retains knowledge shared here. All right. This isn't for entertainment. This is for you to listen to the people, take in the knowledge, the experiences they have, take from it what you will if you need it. All right. And keep building your own puzzle. And don't ever put somebody like me or anybody else in a position to tell you what's up. That's the wrong thing to do. All right. It's the wrong thing to do. All right. Okay. I got to get out of here. How do oh, end stream. All right. Here we go. I'm hitting the end stream button. This is it. I'll try to read the comments later on. All right. Retain the knowledge. Okay. Think for yourself. And there you go. Have a great day. I just got a text from Sarah. Okay, I gotta go.